Welcome to the Office Latte podcast, where we go beyond the boardroom to explore new conversations on life and career. I'm Erin Kennedy, CEO of Professional Resume Services and wife, mother, sister, daughter, aunt, and friend. Now, let's dive in. Good morning, Summer.
Good morning, Erin. Why do I feel like we're on ESPN?
I know. I just felt this big burst of energy, and I'm like, I'm going to just put it out there to our listeners. So anyways, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It is a Tuesday. Tuesday's kind of like the first day of the week for me. I feel like Monday I come in and I'm like Mondaying it all day and I'm trying to just do my stuff, like busy work. But Tuesday, I feel like I wake up and I'm like ready to start something new. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm more like present. Yeah, I feel like Monday I'm like just kind of like running around or like collecting myself ready for Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like, I know people do that on Sunday nights and I would not recommend. Like they try to
I don't at all. I do not. I just
enjoy
bad
my
about
Sundays.
That.
Yeah.
I do too. I love Sundays and I like enjoy it until I go to sleep.
I knew I was just about to say it. I'm like, until my head hits that pillow.
Until my head hits the pillow. Yeah. And then I do kind of start thinking about Monday, but I'm like, I'm just going to get up extra early, and which I do, on Monday to start doing my stuff. But anyways, happy Tuesday.
Yes, happy Tuesday.
Yeah. So, I wanted to quick talk about, today we have on our guest, Brooke Koeninger. So I'm super excited to talk with her. Maybe I'll just read her bio really quick, but I'll tell you, I met her on LinkedIn and she was and I want to talk to her about this certain post that she put up because it was just for me very reminiscent of growing up. And so that's when I first reached out to her and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. And so anyways, I'll read this. It says, Brooke knows what it's like to leave the safety of a corporate career in search of something more fulfilling. She built Scale with Clarity as a fractional CFO and COO, COO practice that helps entrepreneurs scale without losing sight of the life that they want. Along the way, she's also become a guide for professionals curious about creating their own fractional practices, proving that you can design work around your values, your family, and your freedom. She's also the host of Scale with Clarity podcast, and where she shares like stories of others who have made the leap from corporate to solopreneurship, highlighting both the challenges and the freedom that comes with building a business on your own terms. So I just think this is going to be so interesting. I love the idea of just going in, tackling problems at a company, taking on, or helping where I'm needed and then leaving,
Yeah, I also love, we've had a lot of guests like this, like people with just unique career paths. Mm-hmm. Like, because a lot of people, it's like entrepreneurship or staying in corporate. Yeah. Or like healthcare or something. Like I totally get it. But this, I've like, I myself am a fan of this kind of work and think it's so interesting because it allows you to just have a different type of freedom, but you still kind of get the best of both worlds. So I'm excited to see her advice and how she helps companies. It's a good option for small business owners and small agencies, growing companies that maybe can't take on a full-time CFO or COO. Right. They can take them on part-time or for a retainer for a few months. So I'm excited.
Yeah. And I'm excited to ask her about her trajectory, like how she, from where she came from to how she got into this and, balancing it all. I mean, we all do, balancing relationships, family, outside lives and everything. This will be interesting.
Yeah. All right, let's do it.
Hi, Brooke.
Erin, hi, how are you?
I am great. I am so glad you're here. We've already been laughing and we've just now officially started.
I mean, Erin, we've talked before briefly, but I could talk to you for 4 hours. So
I know.
Cut me off when you're done.
I know. No. This is great. I know. I was so excited and so looking forward to chatting with you today. And I was telling Summer, but I didn't tell her everything. But so I met you on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Because one of your posts it was the first post I saw of yours. It just popped up. It really resonated with me. The one of you, I love all your posts, by the way.
Thank you.
But the one of you by the pool.
Oh,
And your son, is it your daughter or your son?
Yes, my daughter and her swim team. I remember that too.
Yes, yes. And I love that picture. You're squatting there and you're looking in the water, because I grew up with swimmers. My sisters were my one sister was diving. My other sister was on the swim team. And I just lived there, and I remember my mom doing the same thing, kind of squatting over there. And then when I joined the swim team, same thing. So I don't know. I just saw that and I was like,
Can I tell you what's so funny about that post too?
Yeah.
Like first of all, I still feel like I'll tell my husband, I'm like, oh, I have my friend from LinkedIn. And it feels like I'm like online dating or something, because I'm still getting used to this meeting online. But that's essentially where all of the people that are in my professional world now are online. And like it brought, like you just said, it brought you into my world. And it's been relatively new for me, really leaning into posting, talking about things outside of specifically my business, like what do I do professionally, but what it's so proven to me. And it wasn't comfortable to start, but like we got on a call, you reached out after that, and I'm so glad you saw that. And it deeply resonated with you. Like we could just talk, like I said,
you never know.
You don't know. And so it's been kind of this proof back to me that like, if I lean into things that are not just, my single lane of what my professional identity is and what I want to talk about, it actually resonates more with people and it brings more people into your orbit. So thank you for saying that.
You're so good at that. You really are. I have struggled with that my whole life, like trying to put something personal up there, because I am such a private person. And then I go to put something up there and then I'm like, no. And it could be something stupid,
But you know what the flip for me is too, and we can stop. We can go wherever direction you want. But I think for me, so when I first left my corporate job, which has now been 4 years ago, I said, I wanted to commit to not just posting about where my job was now and then like when I got my new job. I wanted to talk about the middle, because so many people I worked with were also kind of unhappy and not sure what you want to do. Like that's where the real learning, I knew that. I was like, I like following others that kind of show me the truth of the behind the scenes as they're going through it. Yeah. So I knew I wanted to do that, but it wasn't comfortable with me, because I'm like, well, what is my network going to say? What are they going to think? So it was always about about that. But when I flipped it and started saying, listen, I'm not trying to make myself anyone I'm not. There's this mentality of like, you're posting on social media because you just want followers and you want to get, whatever the metric may be.
Right.
But the more I've done that, I find that there's others that deeply resonate and feel the same way with like the struggles with raising kids and that post about that, like trying to see my daughter struggle and do something different. And so for me, it's, if I can flip it in my head and it's less about like, what is, people are going to think I'm ridiculous for putting this on LinkedIn, and more about like, people need to hear this because they need to know they're not alone. They're trying to grow their careers. They're trying to juggle multiple things. It's like, it's in there too. And so for me, it's been like, and then it's only proven back to me, like meeting women like yourself. I'm like, oh, okay. Yes, that is true. That's true. There's truth underlying that.
Yes.
So,
and it's funny because the people that I've met, that I've reached out to, it's mainly because of a personal story as well.
Yeah.
So, because then I know you just connect, and in person, I am such a connector, but on paper, I just cannot. Like,
I know. It's such a different. Well, I think there's this mindset that I'm hoping it's shifted, because now, I mean, obviously, social media has been around for a decade plus,
right?
But I do think there's this mindset, especially coming from a more corporate and professional setting, that social media and online was more like of a younger, I don't know, I don't want to say younger generation, but it was just, it was not a professional thing. And I think now, and showing that other side of you, like that was blown open with COVID, and I had kids at home. Like I had definitely had two different identities. And it was like this huge anxiety spike for me, but it forced me to be like, I don't have different lives. This is my one life. Like my 2-year-old daughter's going to run through behind this meeting with her pencils and ask me questions while I'm presenting. Like I couldn't keep it separate. And so I think that has kind of
changed things.
Oh, huge, right? And you know what? I was like blissfully unaware that I had these different identities. Like I knew I wanted to, like I'd get a call from the kids at work and they were sick, and I'd try and just be like, oh, I'll just sneak out really quick. But I didn't consciously equate it to like I'm purposely keeping them separate until it was like forced to be like,
right.
I don't want them to walk. Like, I wouldn't want them to walk into this office if I was like presenting, because I was like, no, they're gonna see kids in the background.
Right.
That's my life.
I know. Same.
But then I think about it too, and similarly, you said you reached out. Like I want to work with people, and you say this, it's interesting too, because I know a lot of people that are still apply to, their corporate jobs, and the thing you want to do, it's always like get to know their culture, see how it really is like with them, behind just the interview process. And I'm like, well, that's essentially what I want to put out there, because I want the people I want to work with in terms of who I would pay or who I want to work with me.
Right.
They need to know me more than just my skill set, because they need to know that they do, like, we vibe and you want to work together. And so I'm like, that's who I gravitate to, the people, their personality fits. And so I'm like, it's the same, right?
Yes, totally. So, okay. So let's talk about your corporate career and then what made you shift. So tell me what you did before.
So I'll say my educational background is finance. So I'm a CPA. I did the whole finance undergrad. I went and got my MBA. And so my corporate career was in finance and strategy. I left finance probably, 10 years ago to switch over to consulting. So I did consulting for a while. Similarly, I was at PwC and more strategy work. Got kind of burned out because I had 3 children. I had 2 at the time, but I was traveling every week. So I was in this constant shift of like, I always believed that I could find work that felt fulfilling and that I loved. And I wasn't able to find that and reconcile with my life that I had and that I had built. And so I always felt like I was toggling back and forth. So about 10 years ago, I switched from consulting to an internal company. So I was still doing strategy work. It was in the media industry, which is always changing, certainly in the current times. And so I thought it was good for a while. I had my 3rd child. I came back. But there was constant layoffs, especially in the industry. We're seeing it across industries now, but there was that kind of struggle. COVID hit.
And constant stress, worried,
stress.
Nervous.
My husband's in a corporate job. He was still is in a corporate job. And we were juggling first world problems, I realized, but we had multiple nannies because we had to, we couldn't get him into a daycare. I had to leave before even the daycare opened or the after, cart him to all their practices.
Right.
So COVID hit and I was feeling, I'm lucky to even have a job. I'm lucky to have my health. Who am I to be kind of unhappy with what is happening? But like I said before, kids were home and there's just this process of like, this can't be it. I'll wait a little bit longer because I know the world can't be shut down for forever. But through that, it kind of opened the door to, I said before, like you can be blissfully unaware to your unhappiness, or maybe not even unhappiness, but your lack of complete fulfillment. And I was for a while because you're just in, like survival mode with raising young kids and working.
Yeah.
But I remember coming home or ending my day of meetings and my husband would be like, how's your day? And it was always fine. And there's this new terminology I just heard, and it was really interesting because we've all heard of burnout, and I'm sure we've all faced that at some point in our careers, maybe not knowing it. But there's this new one called zombie burnout. I don't know if you've heard of it. Yeah. And so that is like a type 2 burnout, which it's like you're just on autopilot.
The motion.
Yeah. You're not, you're like,
Love that.
Fine. My job's fine. I can do it. I don't love it. It's easy. I'm maybe just in meetings all day that I don't even know what the point of this is. And so I think now looking back, that's where I got to. And I have parents who are entrepreneurial. And so they had I had that kind of risk taker in me. I wasn't fearful of it. So fast forward. So it was in April of 2021. I talked to my husband. I'm like, this isn't leading us towards the life that I want more of. We're not leaning into things that fulfill us. I'm not there for my kids. My job is, my identity is wholly, completely tied up in my job, but that could go away at any second with the pandemic and with the cuts that they're doing and stuff. So it had me thinking about what could be next. And so in April of 2021, I left, and I can keep going on.
No. That's interesting. Yeah. So from there, you decided, so we've got your aha moment during the pandemic. Yeah. And I mean, you had been thinking about it, and it is hard. It's hard. It's hard when you have kids. I was talking to my kids about that, and I was like, you know what? It's really hard, and I'm sorry, but it's harder for women. It's harder for women. We can't have it all. We want it all. We want, we want the career. We want but we want to be home or be there for our kid, and we just can't do both. I mean, we can, but
it was it's Erin, sorry to interrupt
somewhere
you,
you are like burnout. Yeah.
Yes. And I would like shame myself because here's what I mean, type A, you know, people pleasing, perfectionist, checked all the boxes with the education and the corporate ladder climbing. And I kept saying like, am I waving the white flag saying I can't do this? Like, am I the one? Because also my husband, we met in work. And so it was a very clear kind of like, I could compare myself to him and like, he never left for the maternity leave. I did. I kind of, you know, and then getting back into it, like, but I was always like, but I can do it all. I can. And if I opt out, it's me saying I can't do it all.
Right.
And it was solely tied up into this identity. But the shift for me was finally like, but what if it's not waving the white flag? Here's what I know about some people I've seen that have chosen differently. Yeah. When you are leaning into what totally fulfills you, when you are happy and lit up, whether it's work or whether it's personal, you are way more impactful. You are more energized you are more present in things that are important to you. And so what if I can figure out what that is and what that mix is, not easy because it's like deconstructing all of your learnings from the last, you know, like school and corporate. Yeah. But I could actually impact, you talked about LinkedIn already, right? But online, like I could impact way more people. I could maybe do what I'm doing at these big corporations, this, you know, like this brand I had built within one business. What if I could do this more broadly? And instead of like, I always say like, swimming against the water and trying to work so hard and like do it. What if I could just literally take myself out of that stream and go on the grass and I could like run so much faster because I'm now in a place that fits me, that supports me in a way. And so I didn't know what that answer was. Of course, my strategic and analytical brain, I was like, oh, I'm going to work for these businesses and here's what I'm going to do. But underlying it all was like this refusing to believe that this was it. I knew I could be more. I wasn't giving up, you know, like there's something that's out there that's more aligned with me. So that started that process for me.
Wow. Yes. I love that. Not waving the white flag, not giving up, but just changing, doing something different. So you are a fractional CFO and COO. So what does this look like? So what does that mean? First of all, what does that mean? For any listeners who are like, oh, wait, what is that?
Yeah, it is. Let's start there.
Yeah.
And I kind of fell into that, so we can go back to that. But let's start with fractional. So historically, if you had ever seen the term, and I would say probably before COVID, it usually referred to a C-suite corporate employee that had worked for a big business like CFO and COO and CMO and CHR, all the C's that said, all the C's that said, you know, I'm either retiring or I'm done doing this. I have all this years of experience. I'm going to work for maybe a smaller company that doesn't need a full-time CFO, but I can help them because I have years and years of experience. Yes. So that's where you saw it a lot, especially with like startups in the tech world. They're like, we don't need a CFO, but we want to go public or we want to raise investor funds. We need your experience, but not enough to pay you full-time. Right. But what I've seen, and it's popping up more and more, is this same concept of fractional work, but we've seen for professional employees. But what we saw through COVID again, and that employees kind of left having to go into an office, you became way more productive potentially at home, knowing you could do the work if you weren't commuting and you weren't doing all the hours. I can do this job in like 4 hours maybe. Right. I don't need all of the other stuff, the red tape, the meetings or whatever. And also now that we're seeing employees being called back saying, that's not what I want. And maybe the other thing that's piling on top of that, sorry, I'll just keep going down this, is that there is, when companies see cuts, oftentimes an employee was hired for, say, one role, I don't know, call it FP&A or whatever it may be. Yeah. You cut employees, so oftentimes you get more stuff thrown at you. You're maybe really good at your job. Hey, we need you to do this and this. And so your role gets kind of muddied. And so what fractional now is employees saying, listen, I know I can do this one type of role. I don't want to do the 25 tasks that are being piled up. I want to do this one thing maybe for this one type of client, for whether it's project-based, whether it's 4 hours a week, however you define fractional, but I can do it for multiple businesses at the same time. AI is also supporting that because we can now, especially as moms who need to be home and kind of structure their work in a different way. Yeah. we have operational support in the terms of how software has come around, and online kind of supports that. So long-winded way of saying, now I define fractional as you are taking your job, but perhaps either you're only doing a part of the job. You don't have to do all the stuff. Again, I go back to finance. You don't want to go to work with investors. You only want to do projections or cash flow, whatever it may be. Or
you want.
Yeah, you want to do it for only one industry instead of multiple. So you can kind of divide your job into a very specific thing and deliver to a very specific person in the way that works for you.
Yeah. Love that.
So that was a lot of words, but I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I know. That does make sense. All the words. Yeah.
So now.
No, interesting. Yeah. So what does your day look like as a fractional CFO? I mean, do they find you? Do you find them? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah. So now that I've been posting more on LinkedIn and kind of have leaned into, first, let me take a step back. I just want to acknowledge that it takes a while to really figure out what you like. If you are used to being in a job that you've kind of been told, and you're a you're like, I'm gonna whatever they give me, I'm gonna be really good at it. It takes a while to figure out what you actually like and how you want to structure your day and what you like doing. So that's been certainly an evolution for me. So when I say I kind of fell into fractional work, that wasn't my intent when I left. I was going to do like consulting work, which is a part of fractional, but so I've fallen into this. But what has happened is, through the number one thing, especially if you've been working in any type of professional capacity for a while, your existing network is full of your first clients. Like, it is full of them. You've seen people leave your business, people have started their own, they've gone to other companies. Companies are cutting now. They're working for smaller businesses that we can't hire you, but I need someone to just help with this one thing. Can you help? So that's where your initial thing is. So when I first left, that's where my first clients came. And one that I've now had, I call him he's like the one client that's like stayed with me for the last 4 years, of just like, whatever you're delivering. This is, and he's been great because I've learned from him too. But, it was from it's your existing network that's like, hey, we're looking for somebody. I know that you don't have this. Are you willing to, do this for 4 hours a week? I don't need a full time. So that's the evolution. Perfect. And then it's word of mouth. Yeah.
I mean, and that is perfect. I mean, and really, for any listeners out there who are like, how do I get into this?
Yes.
Just tap into your existing network.
Yes.
And I love the freedom that comes with this role. Oh my gosh. Just not tied to that 9-to-5 grind, as my Gen Z children would say, the 9-to-5 grind. Who wants that? I'm like, no, honey.
And I am the cons, certainly, which it's like, it's not a set salary, right? So there's a mindset shift. You're learning different skills than you did before. So it's definitely going into it. There's fixed mindset versus growth mindset. I didn't realize how much I was in fixed mindset. Like, if I don't know that, because here's the lane that I've been playing in for a while. But this growth mindset of like, there is so much to learn, and it can be for everyone, but you've got to give it time, and you've got to spend the time learning what you like. But the two things I hear mostly from people are, one, what would I even do? And that's like, I just am like, you have years and years and years of experience doing so many different things, even if it's not the thing you were hired for. There is so much. So that's the one thing. And the second is, to your point, is like, well, where do I even start? How would I find? And I'm like, your network is so strong and you don't even know it. It's so robust. That's your first clients are going to be.
That's great. That's really good information, because I know most people would be like, I don't even know where to begin. Yeah. So, okay. Some questions for you. I compiled some questions for you.
Okay. Okay. It's like a test. Let's see if I can pass it.
Yeah. Based on your LinkedIn profile, though. So
okay.
Nothing that should shock you. But so how is the value of a fractional leader? Mm-hmm. How is it different from being a consultant or a coach?
Mm-hmm. So coaching is such so different. Okay. 3 different things.
Yeah.
I think fractional's this overarching umbrella. So consulting, in my mind, you usually come in, it's a specific problem you're addressing, and then you come out. And oftentimes you're not staying around to implement it. You may, depending on what your consulting thing is. So people are familiar with consulting term. Fractional can be that if you say the part of my job I want to do is only to get a company from A to B. I want to, get them to launch this new product, or I want to help them with this new inventory buy, whatever, any type of function. but it's broader than that. You, in my mind, fractional is you are part of that business and that company. You're getting to know them broader than just the specific problem that you're there to solve. You are seen as an employee. You might be who they come to with questions or whatever. So fractional is broader. Coaching, in my mind, is also kind of, that's thrown around. It's so money. It can be consulting, but coaching for me is like, you're trying to get someone, you're their accountability partner,
right?
You know, like
really,
yes. I mean, that honestly can be used as advisor. You know, like there's so many terms that are thrown around. So in my mind, they all roll up to this fractional role. Fractional is you're doing part of a job, part of the time. It's how you define what that is in any way.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Did I pat? What's the grade on that?
I like it. No, that was really good. Yeah, that was good. And that really explained it super simply. So
we're tiptoeing in. Okay, let's keep going.
Okay. So, what kinds of companies benefit the most from hiring you? You know, or any type. I mean, maybe not in finance, but any. Is it just big companies, or can it be smaller companies? Or
I think the market right now is small and midsize. They don't have the budget for a full-time employee to come in at a whatever the level is. Yeah. But the gap here is oftentimes it's the small and mid-sized companies that struggle to find the talent. They're going to Indeed, they're going to, you know, like the places that they know, but there's this whole world of professionals that have this unique skill set that can address. I've been in a business much bigger than yours that has gone through this exact same problem. You know, I used the launching, you know, in marketing, we've launched 75 products. You're a startup that's launching your first product. I absolutely can do this, you know? So I think the market and the need is small and mid-sized, but I want to say, like, what I see in the next 5 years is bigger companies, especially as we see tariffs cutting budget and you have like less profit. Right. There is an opening to businesses hiring for a very specific need at a very specific point that they need because they can't afford, you know, the full, like, instead of going through, we've seen the waves, right? You hire and then they have to cut and fire people and they hire and cut. If you just hire for specific what your need is at the same at that time, right? I think we're going to see more of that in the future.
You know, so what is is there a set or what am I saying? Like a timeline? Like, do you go in for a month or do you go in for as long as it takes? Or do you say, okay, I'll be there for 6 weeks or 8 weeks? Or,
I'll talk to so I guess the short answer, which is not, people aren't going to love, is all of it. So my services specifically are, I am on retainer for some of my clients. So they are under $10 million. They don't need me there all the time. They're really looking to stay. Hey, can you meet with my bookkeeper? You know, can you help me with my projections? What does next month look like? What does next year look like? The forecasting, like very specific finance things, but they're not raising funds. They don't need me to manage a whole team, nor do I want to for that matter. Yeah. So for them, I am working all the time, like 4 hours a week. Okay. So we've set kind of a retainer and said, I'm going to meet with you once a week. And then I'm going to do a couple hours outside of that. And this is how it's going to be. Okay. I, though, have other clients. And one of the other things I really enjoy is like, I don't want it all the time, but I can geek out on a spreadsheet. And I love, like, let me figure out what you're going to do. So I've had a couple clients who are launching a new product. They're like, we just need to see what our profitability is and what we can afford right now. Like, how much can we invest in this? Who can we hire right now to support this? And so it's working with them on like, what's your strategy and your projections and getting that forecast model together. And then I hand it off. So that's like the project based, but it's because I love that. And it's within the same wheelhouse. And oftentimes those project based early stage clients turn into the retainer ones later on too. So that's within the finance world, but it's again, going back to like, what are the type of work you like and what is the client that needs that the most? And you can deliver it in the way that makes sense for you.
And I would think that you're never bored. I mean, it's always something different. It's always a new project or a new company or a new industry. I mean, that's kind of cool.
It's really, well, that's why I go back to learning what you love too, because I've worked with some that I found myself repeating patterns of burnout in my corporate job. Because listen, you're going to take yourself wherever you are. So you're going to try and over deliver and you're going to try and be a people pleaser and you're going to say yes to any of the things, scope creep that comes through. But I found some, I'm like, that just doesn't, I found myself feeling burned out. It's because I wasn't fulfilled with either the industry they were in or the client personality that I was like, this isn't working for me, you know, like, so it goes back to, but that's the evolution, the growth mindset is like, okay, I have freedom and flexibility to figure out whatever I want based on what my financial needs are too. So certainly that needs to play into it, but I can say no to this. I can say yes to this. I can do more of this because I love that. And that's the excitement I find. And it's really a personal development exercise more than needing to learn any more skill set around like what you've gone to school for.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. That's really cool. And I like all that, doing something different each time because, or at least, I mean, not that it's always going to be different, but at least it's just, just keeps your interest.
Yeah.
So what are the most common challenges maybe you see small businesses facing when trying to scale?
Okay. So now we're talking about my fractional work too. So So I think, let's talk about a business going from 6 to 7 figures or multiple 7 figures up to 10 figures. So let's like that.
Okay.
Usually there's 2 things. One, mindset of the founder. They may have hourly employees. They may have, some even salaried employees, but you're going from a doer, even if you have employees, to really becoming the CEO of your business. And so it is offloading your processes. It is standardizing. It's figuring out how you can replace somebody, that might leave. You're having more turnover. So it is the mindset of going from, I can just do it all and like manage everyone to setting your processes and becoming really like the CEO. So that's a whole leadership learning curve. The other thing I see is businesses start out in, I don't even want to say reactive mode, but you are a bootstrapped entrepreneur or a founder that's just gotten your first funding, whatever it is, and you are testing the market. You're doing like all the things. You're not forward planning a ton. You are like, is this working? How do I get my next client? How do I get my next contract? You're just like in the mud. When you get to a point where you've tested the market and you know it works. So usually that is when you hit 6 to 7 figures and you've been able to repeat that process. Now it's time to start looking forward. So usually, again, in my world I'll say specifically finance, but you're checking the compliance boxes of having a bookkeeper and you're like, I've got to do X, Y, Z, but you're not saying, okay, strategically over the next 12 months, who do I want to hire? What processes, what new markets do we want to enter? What does that look like from a cash flow? How do we want to raise our prices? Like really spending time in a strategic, which you do a lot in big businesses, but it's too much in a small business when you're just starting off. So that's the other shift that I see. It's like, we need to start thinking forward thinking. We need to keep an eye on the ground currently, but like, where do we want to head? And what are we putting in place now that's going to help us in 12 to 24 months?
Yeah. Okay. So kind of along those lines, my next question was going to be like, can you share a client success story where clarity around numbers or operations like completely shifted the business or put them on this growth track? Or do you have any stories?
Yeah.
I have stories.
Yes, multiple ones. So, I mean, I'll use for existing businesses, like I have 2 that come to mind too. So one, she's a publisher. She publishes other books and she came to me with a question. She was making good money but no profit, which we see a lot too, because and so a lot of times we talk about entrepreneurial burnout. You look at the top number, you don't look at the bottom number. And so what was happening, she was like wanting to get to the next level. She was at multiple 6 figures. And now my next goal is the 7 figures, but her profit was negative. And so it was this constant burnout cycle.
Yeah.
And so the clarity two things is, where do you want to go and what life do you want to live? I'm such a life first business because we've seen so many businesses after so many years you burn out because you're not paying yourself. You're plowing it all back into the business. It's not actually a better lifestyle. That's why I said you take yourself wherever you go. So first thing was the clarity, right?
That's a great thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So many people, and forget business, but just in life, I don't think a lot of people really look and say, what is the life I want to live? It's not about getting that next, raise or title or revenue marker in my business. It is like, what is the life that I want to live? And I'm not putting it off until I retire. I'm not putting it off until, who knows when that's going to be. What is it now? So for her, it was like, what is the life? Why are you in this constant grind, to keep making more money? And so the first was level setting that clarity around what do you want first, and then what does that mean for your business? And then the second was reframing. We're not looking at your top line. We're going to look at your bottom line. Here's what you need to bring in. Here's what you need. So is your pricing correct? And so again, I keep going back since finance is my thing, but she wanted to hire someone else to support more growth. And I've seen this, actually, I'll use another example too, to get to that next level in revenue, people you're hiring. So I've seen businesses like, I need to hire 10 more people because I need more salespeople, but your operations are stressed then, and you can't support it, and you're managing more people. And so again, your life isn't actually better and your profits aren't actually better. So high level, we go on all that, but it is really shifting the focus. One is what you really want, start with that. And two is like, we got to look at the bottom line, because it might not mean you need more growth. It might just mean you need to look at your operations, and we don't need all this stuff, all this software, all these people, and whatever it may be.
Wow. Okay. All right. Interesting. Yeah. And that's good, because sometimes people don't see it. You're so busy in the thick of it. You don't have time to step back and say, okay, wait, here are some things that need to change.
You're just in reactive mode. And I mean, we talked about it with parenting and moms too, but dads too, I know, but like, I think in life in general, I'll say me, but I don't think I'm alone.
Yeah.
You get in such a reactive mode where it's like heads down, and I need to get to this next thing, without saying like, what is it really all for? So if I'm doing all this and I'm actually not home with my kids, but I got the promotion at work, like, is that actually what I want? And do I have to release this ego thing around this revenue marker, this title, or whatever it is? And so I just think in general, there's not been this, and honestly, COVID was horrible, but I do think it made everyone pause. I mean, you had to pause. You couldn't go. And
it was horrible, but it did a lot of positive things.
Yes. Like really, I had to pause and be like, well, what? I mean, we're not going. So like, what's important to us? And spending time together. And that showed me, I'm like, this is what I want more of, this part of it too. So substitute business goals, substitute personal goals, but I just don't think that happens enough, is like looking at the future and like, what do we really want, and start from there.
Yes. No, I agree 100%. I mean, it did a lot of things. It really did. COVID did. And it opened up my eyes too. And that was a crazy time, but
I know. And and honest and hard too. And I think I'll go off on my tangent too, but
go.
I just feel like, so COVID was horrible in so many ways. And we already said that, but it also brought some clarity. But I think through that clarity, I didn't allow myself, I just kept saying, but I'm lucky. Like, it showed me that I was unhappy in my job, for instance, but I was like, but I'm lucky to have a job. I'm lucky to have, how dare you even want for more, because there's others that have worse. And I think that, So and it was, I was like shaming myself. But when we push those feelings down because like others have it worse, you're actually, I always say it's like a muscle to follow your happiness and even figure out what you want more of, because, and I already said earlier in this recording that like following your happiness is actually, it's what's the word I'm looking for? Like, if by you doing it, others see what's possible, and then they do it. It's like, it transfers to others.
Yes.
But I think when you push that down and you say, but others have it worse, what you're doing is you're softening that muscle that even knows what makes you happy. And so when you lean into that and you say, okay, listen, this is not it, but I'm going to make this change. I know others have it worse, but I believe I can have happiness more often, and I can be way more fulfilled, and I can be way more present with my kids. And by doing that, it's like this like muscle in your mind that's like, oh, that's actually what brings me happiness. That's actually what brings me happiness. I mean, I said too, I was like, people would be like, what's your hobby? And it was like a suit of armor. I'm like, I don't have time for hobbies, right? Like, are you crazy? Totally. I'm too busy. Yeah. But I'm like, that's the first problem, because I don't even know what brings me joy and what brings me, it's more of a, so anyways, my high horse.
I've gone through that deep dive with myself for the past year. Yeah. And I'm finally figuring it out. When you have that like career and that like business owner identity, like self identity, it then all of a sudden, I don't know. My husband, he's the perfect example of somebody who is retired and does like, all kinds of stuff. He has all kinds of hobbies, and I'm like, I can't retire. I'm just going to be like sitting on the couch watching Netflix.
So bored, right? Like, what do I even do? Yeah. And
so that's something that you have to do is.
You do. And it's not, here's the thing. Once I would acknowledge it, but then I'd put it off. I'm like, okay, that's an easy thing. Once I, actually, spend time on it. Yeah. It is not easy. It's actually been the hardest thing. And it's something that I then, again, talking about shaming yourself, I'm like, oh, this means I don't like this, or this means, you talk to a bunch of moms who will get a day off and they're like, I don't even know how to spend it. Right. Like how, like it's this overthinking of like, what I have one day, what is the thing that is going to bring me the most peace, the most happiness, the most in this one, like 4-hour window that I've allowed myself. And
then they're going to end up doing laundry and running errands and picking up kids. I mean, so,
Yes. And so it's like, it's this constant process because it's not easy to figure that out. But the more you can do it, the more I'm like, the relationship with my kids, because I'm not short with them and I have more patience with them because I've filled it. You hear about self-care and filling your own cup. But this is when it's actually true. So people that want to go out on their own or unhappy with their job, whatever it is, but I'm like, it's not easy. It's not easy, but it was what was easy was for me to kind of just tie my whole identity and happiness with a quick title and a company that I worked for. And also being a mom. Like it was like, it was a nice bow, but I'm like, but what does that even mean? And is that all that is to me, that I am?
I know.
So hard.
For years, I felt like I had nothing to add to the conversation other than what my company was doing.
I mean, what about like when you'd go to these like offsites or whatever and they'd be like, say one thing interesting about you. I'm like, oh my God, the biggest stress. I'm like, I don't know.
I have no idea. I don't know.
That was the hardest thing. It would like lock me up.
I know. I'm there with you. Same, exactly.
So it's trying a bunch of different things and failing until you figure out what you love and then you fall into it.
So what advice? A few parting words. What advice would you give to somebody who's in corporate who's maybe wants to pivot to fractional work?
Mm-hmm. I'd say first and foremost, you have way more skills than you're giving yourself credit for. And I talk to so many people who are just, they're okay. They're not hating. They're not, there's people that have lost their jobs and don't know what to do. There's people but there's a lot more that are just fine. And they're being called back into the office maybe 5 days a week and they don't love their job. And there's been a lot of cuts and they're working more and they have young kids at home. And to those people, I just want to say you have so much of a skill set that there's so many businesses out there that they need. Yeah. Whether it says it on, you're used to, reading a resume with your very specific title, even if it's not a nice bow tied up in that, you have so many skill sets. And so the first step is just figuring out, what do you like? What fills up your day? I always say, even if we hate our jobs, if you've been doing something for 20 years, there's something in there. There's a person that has kept you there because you love working with that type of personality, or it's an industry that you love, but you hate what you're doing, or one task you've been given, you love it. And like, start there. And so don't minimize the skill set you have that you bring to any type of business. And there's somebody out there.
I love that. I mean, that's true. We all have a skill set that someone needs.
Yes.
So if a company wants to work with you, how do they get in touch with you?
So many. So, okay, 2 ways I'd say. My website is Scale with Clarity. So www.scalewithclarity. And I have information on there for both if you're a business looking for fractional CFO or COO work, but also, as we've talked about, I'm working with others. My huge passion, my number one passion, which is always the goal you should figure out, is people not feeling stuck and understanding their worth and knowing there's more out there. So I do work with others that are trying to go out on the fractional path. So there's information on my website about that. It's number one.
Yeah.
LinkedIn is where I'm most active. So you can find me on LinkedIn and DM me there. But I do want to say, for any of your listeners that are thinking about going out, they're not sure what they want to do. If you go to my website, I do have a free, it's called Compass Clarity. And it uses ChatGPT, but it's a custom GPT I've created, which is really just dissecting, like, what are your values? How do you like spending your day? What skill sets have you done in the past? What of your job do you love? And so it really starts you down that process of thinking, like, what could I do fractionally that is out there that you can then kind of do some research on, like, okay, does this feel like it resonates with me? And then the last thing I'll say is I do have my own podcast too called Scale with Clarity. So if you're interested in fractional work, I'm interviewing others that are doing it just to get some more information on, how has it worked and what's been the big learnings and where do you start?
That's super helpful, so then people can start listening to it and just get a feel for if they want to do that or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it has been such a joy. I do have one more question. I think I told you that at the end of the show, we always ask our guests, what's one thing? I know you're going to hate this question.
Is this the one?
One thing, or no, do you have a hobby? What's something that we don't know about you that you...
So you know what? no, yes, but I've been doing this thinking too. So yes, now I have multiple hobbies, but here's the one thing that I actually stands out. I might have actually put this on LinkedIn. I am a math nerd. I went into finance, a CPA, so I love that. I love puzzles. But what I've found how that manifested in being an adult now and doing it, I love putting together furniture. So I just went to like, yeah. So everyone, and I don't know if this, I don't think everyone naturally, but my husband, did you put that together?
In a room? Do you mean like designing the pieces?
No, but you have to give me a step-by-step instruction. Okay. Like IKEA is my jam because they give you instructions, but you can see what the end is. Like Wayfair, and they're like, we'll pay, we can put it together. I'm like, I'm going to put it together because I can start from the beginning. It's like Legos. I'm like an adult Lego person because I'm like, I can start from the beginning. I am not super creative in terms of like, I'm going to paint and refinish furniture, but I like having an end that I love that fits in there, and I've done it, but I have clear instructions that I can follow. So I'm like an instructor. I'm like, give me the instructions. I will follow them to the T. I'm really good at that. But anyways, so that's something I've leaned into. I'm like, maybe I can, but it's like, I need the instructions to it. So yeah, my son's bunk bed and our dining room table and all that.
Gosh,
I love it.
That is amazing. Yeah. I get those things and I just text my husband. I'm like,
no, I love it. I'm like, give me all the tools. So that's the one thing too. I'm like, oh, maybe that is a hobby. I've done it before, and I like, it's something that I don't dread at all. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. I'm like, maybe that's what a hobby is. Like you enjoy it for no other. That's crazy.
That's good though. I like that. I just created a little. I just took one of our rooms. We have a sunroom, and I just created kind of like a craft room. And anyway, speaking of IKEA, so I ordered all this furniture from IKEA, and then I get it, and it's all like in the thin box, and I'm like, oh my god!
See, if we were there, we would be such a perfect match. I'd be building the furniture, and then you could do the crafting on it too.
So my husband has a workshop outside, and I'm like, it's here. Can you just come in?
Come in and do it. No, what type of crafts?
Put together within, just. I don't know, just some stuff.
We're going to see. You're going to test out different things. There you go. That muscle is going to be so strong pretty soon.
Yeah. I even created a TikTok page where I do these things. It's just nuts. But
what?
I needed a hobby. I know. I needed a hobby.
There you go. That's exactly
besides resumes.
Well, and also that it's not for like, I have to like have this end goal. It's for purely for the enjoyment of it. Like I want to find enjoyment in the act of doing whatever it is.
Yes.
So I'm going to follow along on TikTok.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's been so much fun.
Erin, thank you. This is so good. I have so many words, I know. So thank you for just listening.
I appreciate all your words.
I appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much. And I was going to say, if people want to get in touch with you, Summer will put everything in the show notes and all the links, everything to find Brooke.
Look at this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thanks again for listening to the Office Latte podcast. You can find us anywhere you listen to your podcast. You can follow the podcast on Instagram and TikTok at Executive Resumes, or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Office Latte Podcast. If you have any career questions or conversations you want us to talk about, send them to officelattepodcast@gmail.com, and we'll answer them in an upcoming show. Have a great week and stay caffeinated.